Okay, children, the first thing that we are going to look here is the chapter that we are dealing with today. The name of the chapter is, as you can see, it's Wind, and it is written by famous poet Subramania Bharati. Now, I'll help you with the explanation of this poem in this manner. First, I'll introduce you to the poet. I'll tell you something about him. Then I'll help you with the theme of the poem. I'll help you understand what is the idea behind writing this poem. And then I'll start stanza-wise explanation of this poem. In the end, I'll also take poetic devices. I'll introduce you to them, and we'll end this session in three classes. Okay, so I'll take 3 periods to finish this poem, right? So without further ado, let us start with the explanation of the poem, Wind by Subramania Bharati. Children, you see here is the photograph of the poet. His name is Subramania Bharati. Chinnaswamy Subramania Bharati, also known as Bhartiyar, was born on 11th December 1882, and he left for heavenly abode on 11th September 1921. Subramania Bharati was a Tamil writer, poet, journalist, Indian independence activist, a social reformer, and a polyglot. Now you have been introduced to a new word, polyglot. A polyglot is a person who is proficient in many languages, meaning who has command and mastery on many languages. Such a person is known as a polyglot, right? So Subramania Swamy was a polyglot, and he was proficient in almost 14 languages, as you can see it, okay? Now, Subramania Swamy was popularly known as Mahakavi Bharati, and he was a pioneer of model Tamil poetry and is considered one of the greatest Tamil literary figures of all time. His numerous works include fiery songs kindling patriotism during Indian independence movement. So what do we get to know about Subramania Bharati? We get to know that he was known as Bharatiyar and was popularly known as Mahakavi Bharati. So he was quite a respected figure. He was a pioneer poet of modern Tamil language and poetry, and was considered as one of the greatest Tamil literary figures of all time, right? Furthermore, his numerous works that he had done, especially the fiery songs that he has written, right? They were aimed at kindling the should I say the fire of patriotism during Indian independence movement. So he had made a significant contribution to Indian independence movement with his poetries, right? So children, we will now look at the poem Wind. I shall introduce it to you, okay? Let us see what this poem is all about. So I'll start screen sharing again. Right. I guess now you can see this poem, okay, in front of you. Now, before I start this poem, before I introduce you to the theme of this poem, I'd like to tell you that this poem that is written by Subramania Bharati was translated from the Tamil by A.K. Ramanujan. All right. So this poem was originally written in Tamil, and then it was translated from the Tamil by A.K. Ramanujan. And then you see the English version of this Tamil poetry. Subramania Swamy, I've already told you, is a great Tamil poet, and he's famous for his patriotism in the pre-independence era. So he was a champion freedom fighter, and he fought for freedom using his literary work that inspired many, right? A.K. Ramanujan is a Kannada and English poet well known for his translation of classical and modern poetry. So, who is A.K. Ramanujan? He is a Kannada and English poet. So, A.K. Ramanujan is also a poet by profession, and he is reputed for his translation of classical and modern poetry into Kannada and English languages, right? So he has done the translation of this poetry written by Subramania Bharati. It was originally written in Tamil, and then A.K. Ramanujan, he kind of translated it in English for the readers, all right? So do not get confused, right? The poet of this poem is Subramania Bharati, and the person who translated is Mr. Ramanujan. Okay, so let's move ahead with the theme of this poem. Let us understand what this poem tries to tell us. Now, children, before I start with the theme of the poem, I have a humble request to make. Please ensure that you keep with you a pencil, a pen, and paper so that you can jot down important points. It is very important because if you jot down important points, they will help you to recollect the poem, they will help you to recollect the idea behind the poem. All right. So I hope that you have a pen and piece of paper with you, or maybe a rough notebook. Okay. So let me tell you what is the theme behind this poem, right? So the poem inspires us to face the challenges and hardships with courage, grit, and firm determination. Look, a life is full of challenges. There are a lot of hardships, there are trials and tribulations. Right? And these test our inner strength. These trials and tribulations, these hardships, these challenges, these obstacles in our lives, they they test how strong we are both physically and mentally, because there is no one who has not faced problem in his life. Even God in his physical incarnation faced a lot of problems, be it Ram, be it Krishna, be it Jesus, be it any other God. They had faced their challenges, right? So let us see what I'll extend the theme for you, right? So I've already told you that through this poem, the poet inspires us to face the challenges and hardships with courage, grit, and firm determination. We all know that wind is a natural phenomena. It is a part of nature, and wind is fast and furious and has the capacity to destroy things in its path. So every time wind blows, it leaves a trail or path of destruction behind, right? So that's the potential of wind. That is what wind can do. The wind destroys the weak things in its path. So big question, who gets destroyed? Is every tree uprooted when the wind blows? No, not every tree is uprooted. The tree that is weak gets uprooted. Okay, so only those who are weak, they will be blown away by the wind. When troubles come in our life, all right, when troubles come in our life, the weak people are affected the most. If the structures in the path of the wind are weak, then the wind will destroy them. This shows that when troubles come in life, the weak are the most affected. So the poet asks the readers to become strong so that they can solve their problems. So we are told, should I say, there is a notion, there is an idea that is always promoted. It is said that we should be physically and mentally strong. Why do we need to be physically and mentally strong? Because if we are not physically and mentally strong, then we will succumb to challenges and diseases. So we have to keep our immune system strong. That is our physical strength. And then there's something called a mental strength. A mental strength is something that makes us brave, that makes us overcome the challenges of life. We do not bow down to challenges. We do not run away from them. It is our mental strength that gives us the energy, it gives us the positivity to face the challenges of life. And when we overcome the challenges of life, we become successful, we gain experience, and we evolve as human beings, right? So remember one thing. The basic idea or the central theme of this poem is a strong message that we have to be physically and mentally strong. Okay? Now, in this poem, the poet highlights the destructive as well as the constructive aspects of the wind. So, does wind destroy? Is that all it does? Does wind have only the destructive aspect? Or there is also a constructive aspect to wind? Yes, there is a constructive aspect to wind as well. Imagine a life without challenges. Imagine a life without hurdles. Imagine a life without pitfalls. Imagine a life without any hardships. That's impossible. There'll be ups and downs in life. And every time when things go south, every time when we are staring uh, down, right? We are staring at the lowest point of our life. We gather courage in ourselves to fight back these circumstances, fight back the adverse situation, and then emerge victorious, right? So if these challenges were not there in our lives, we would not know how to struggle, right or not? So these challenges have a constructive aspect as well. They help us to become mentally strong. They help us to struggle against the challenges, fight the circumstances, and then emerge victorious. Right or not? Okay. So remember that wind has both constructive as well as destructive aspects. The poet says that the wind teases and makes fun of the weak persons or things. So who does the wind tease? Who does the wind make fun of? It's the weakerlings. It's the weak people. It's those who depend and rely on others. And the very moment they come face to face with challenges, they scurry for cover. They run away for cover. So these are those people who wind mocks or who wind makes fun of. And wind does not show any sympathy to weak people because weak will perish. It is said that lambs are meant for slaughter. So the weak people will be slaughtered. If you turn the pages of history, you will observe and see that it's the strongest, it's the powerful who have written history. History is never written by weak people. Weak people, they simply become history. But who writes history? The brave, the strongest, the powerful. And nature is also unkind to weak people. I am certain that you must have heard of Charles Darwin's theory, survival of the fittest. So who can survive in nature? Who can survive the raw nature? It is the strongest who can survive raw nature. It is the powerful who can survive nature. And weak will perish. They will be destroyed completely. All right? So the wind teases and makes fun of the weak persons or things. So does wind symbolize something? Yes. Wind symbolizes the difficulties that one faces in one's life. So what is wind symbolic of? Wind is symbolic of the difficulties that one faces in one's life. Difficulties frighten us if we are weak. So if we are weak people, If you're scared, if we are cowards, the challenges will frighten us, right? But if we are brave, difficulties do not harm us and disappear quickly. I'm certain you must have heard an adage: tough times don't last, tough people do. Write it down if you want to. Tough times don't last, tough people do. So, what lasts forever are tough people, not the tough times. Tough times get over. They even bend and bow to a strong willed person, right? So, it's very important for us to be physically and mentally strong. Do not be scared of failures. Failures and success are the two sides of the same coin called life. And life often goes for a toss. And sometimes we get heads, sometimes we get tails, sometimes we get success, and sometimes we get failures. So we should not be overjoyed with our success, and we should not lose heart with our failures. We should not start to demean our abilities just because we failed. Rather, we should analyze why we failed, work on it, be strong, and then face your challenge one more time. Look at your challenge eye into eye. Fight it, and you shall win. And why did you win? Because you were weak? No, 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 no. Because you emerged strong. Okay? Right. So the poet advises the wind to blow slowly and do not create chaos. But since the wind does not listen to the poet, he advises us to be strong. So when the wind picks up in the poem, the poet makes a request to the wind to blow slow so that the weak are not destroyed. But will wind care? Will wind pay attention to the request of the poet? Not at all. Not at all. Wind is a natural phenomena. It will blow with its full might. It will destroy everything in its path that is weak. So, does wind accept requests? No, it's not Facebook where you accept requests. Wind is a nature's phenomena. It will do what it is supposed to do. So now the onus is on us. The poet advises the human beings that wind is not going to pay attention to us. It's not going to accept our request. It will blow with its full might. So instead of being weak, let us be strong. Let us have the strength and courage to face the intensity of wind and not to run away from it. This way, wind, which is our adverse time or adversity, will make us emerge stronger. Okay? So we should build strong houses and strong windows. We should be strong in body and mind. If we become strong, the wind will be our friend. Right? No one wants the desire to be friends with weak, because weak are ruled, weak are slaughtered, weak are destroyed. People want to be friends with the powerful. You always want to associate yourself with the powerful. So when the wind sees that the person that is standing against its direction, or in its direction, not against, in its direction is a strong person, the wind becomes its friend. So the bottom line is, we should not run away from our problems. We should not whine and cry. We should not start to weep at the sight of trouble. Rather, we should gear up. Rather, we should brace the challenges. We should fight them and emerge victorious and strong. Okay? I hope the theme of the poem is pretty clear to you. right? Now, let's look at the title. The name of the title is Wind. Okay. So is this a justified title? Let's see. Okay, let's explore. So the poem talks about the destructive and constructive aspects of the wind. When the wind is strong and blows, it causes a lot of devastation. And who gets destroyed? The weak things. In its path, the weak things get destroyed, they get annihilated. I'll give you new words, okay? I've given you a new word for destruction, okay? Devastation, annihilated, all right? The wind is used as a metaphor. Please remember this. The wind is used as a metaphor to describe the problems we face in our life. Hence, the title is justified. So what did I say? Wind is used as a metaphor. And what is a metaphor? A metaphor is a poetic device. Listen to me to this very carefully, because children often get confused between a metaphor and a simile. So what is a metaphor? First of all, you'll always speak like this, that a metaphor is a poetic device where similarity is shown between two different objects and things without the use of as or like. So what is a metaphor? A metaphor is a poetic device in which similarity is shown between two different things or objects without the use of as or like. I'll give you an example. Now, but what is a simile? A simile is a poetic device where similarity is shown between two different objects or things with the use or using the words as or like. This is simile, right? I'll give you an example. We often use simile and metaphor in our daily conversation without realizing that we are using metaphor and simile. If I say that you are like a lion, I've used the word like here, and I have used two different people, right? On one hand, it's you, and on the other hand, it's lion. So they're two different objects, okay? Lion is a different subject, and you are a different subject. But what is a similarity? The similarity is like you're brave. So you're as brave as a lion, or you're as brave like a lion, right? You're brave like a lion. So what is the common thing that binds you and lion? It's brave. Did I use the word as or like? Yes. So what does this become? This becomes a simile. And if I say, you are a lion, right? We all know that lions are brave. They're not cowards, right? Tum sher ho. This is a metaphor, right? Because I did not use as or like, and I showed a similarity between you and lion. Tum sher ho. You're lion. Tum sher jaise ho. You're like, you're brave like a lion, right? Ya tum sher jaise bahadur ho. Here, this is a simile. Okay. We often say, tum gadhe ho. We often say that, right? To our friends, right? When we are mocking them or making fun of them. So this is a metaphor. Tum gadhe jaise ho. This is a simile. Okay. I hope this is clear. So wind is a metaphor for the troubles that come in our life, the hardships that come in our life. And because this poem speaks of wind, hence the title is justified. All right, children. Now we'll move to the explanation of this poem. Okay, I'll read the entire poem for you before I can explain it to you so that we have a good feeling of how this poem sounds like. Wind, come softly. Don't break the shutters of the windows. Don't scatter the papers. Don't throw down the books on the shelf. There, look what you did. You threw them all down. You tore the pages of the books. You brought rain again. You're very clever at poking fun at weaklings. Frail, crumbling houses, crumbling doors, crumbling rafters, crumbling wood, crumbling bodies, crumbling lives, crumbling hearts. The wind god winnows and crushes them all. He won't do what you tell him. So come, let's build strong homes. Let's join the doors firmly. Practice to firm the body. Make the heart steadfast. Do this, and the wind will be friends with us. The wind blows out weak fires. He makes strong fires roar and flourish. His friendship is good. We praise him every day. So this is the poem. Now, I shall start with the explanation. Okay, so I hope you're ready with pen and paper so that you can jot down important points. So here we go, right? Right. Wind, come softly. Don't break the shutters of the windows. Don't scatter the papers. Don't throw down the books on the shelf. So how does the poem begin? The poet makes a request to the wind. What is that request that he's making? He's asking the wind not to blow so strongly. Why? Because it breaks down the shutters of the windows. So we see the poet pleading, requesting the wind to blow softly. Because if the wind will blow with all its might and furiosity, what will happen? It will break everything. It will leave a trail of destruction and devastation. So the poet requests the wind to blow softly and not strongly, because if it blows strongly, it will break down the shutters of the windows, as they separate man from the stormy environment outside. So who stands between the wind and the man who will face the wrath of the wind? It's the windows, it's the house, it's the doors. And if the wind will blow strongly, then it will take away with it, it will destroy the windows, it will destroy the shelf, it will destroy the doors. It might destroy the house as well. Okay? So that's the reason it is requested, the poet is requesting the wind to blow slowly. All right? So we can see that here the poet is seeking or asking for protection. He wants protection from the wind. He's scared at the sight of the wind. He also asks the wind not to scatter the papers in his room or to throw down the books from his bookshelves with its force and might. So we see here the poet is making the request to the wind, oh, please don't blow so fast. Oh my God, if you blow, then you will break everything. You will break down the windows. You will scatter papers and throw down the books on the shelf. You will destroy everything. So please, 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 wind, don't blow this fast. What is he doing? He's requesting. What kind of character is shown here? The poet is definitely projecting a weak person's character, because weak only plead, the strong don't. They brace themselves to face the challenge, right? Will the wind listen to the poet's request? Will it become gentle like a breeze? Will the harsh wind be gentle like a breeze? No, 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 not at all. It will continue to blow that way because it is one of the aspects of nature, and nature does not change itself. Survival of the fittest. So the prayers will have no effect on the wind, right? So we are going to stop our class here. I have helped you understand the first stanza. In the first stanza, the poet is making a request. To who? To wind. What is the request? To come softly, not to blow in a strong manner, right? What will happen if the wind will blow strongly? It will break the shutters of the windows. What is the poet requesting? That don't break the shutters of the windows. I guess you know what shutters are. They are open windows, okay? Don't scatter the papers. What is the meaning of scatter? To throw in different directions. Okay, and don't throw down the books on the shelf. So this is the request that the poet is making at the sight of the wind. Right. So I'll end my explanation